Okay, Kerri, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Um, Thanks everyone for joining us today. My name is Scott Smith. I'm the Executive Director of the Arkansas Public School Resource Center, and we welcome you to this conversation with the new Arkansas Leadership Academy. On our agenda today, we will be providing an introduction to our partners and many of the people associated with each entity that's working with us, an overview of the new Arkansas Leadership Academy starting July 1, some of our efforts with regards to expansion and outreach, and as many of you will be interested, what the Master Principal program will look like going forward, and a new concept called ALA Reach that Dr. White will go into some detail over. And then we'll finish up with announcements and next steps. As for our partners, the Arkansas Public School Resource Center is very privileged to have Arkansas State University as a partner and EDUTAS at the University of Oklahoma as a partner. With us today, including myself from APSRC, are Ken Rich, who's our Director of School Finance, Melody Morgan, who's the Director of Educational Assessment, Accountability, Curriculum, and Instruction, Gina Williams, Director of Educational Innovation, Professional Development, and Special Projects. Christina Fowler is our Director of Communications. Trent Saraceni, Instructional Technology Specialist, and Barbara Hunter-Cox is a consultant to us. At Arkansas State University, we're privileged to have Dr. Mary Jane Bradley, the Dean of the College of Education and Behavioral Science, Dr. Nicole Covey, the Assistant Professor of Education, and Jill Clogston, Director of the Educational Renewal Zone. At EDUTAS, Dr. Kerri White, Director of Engagement and Public Services, is our ALA Director, and Lisa Pryor is the Director of EDUTAS. Our evaluator is Dr. Belinda Bisco, who is the Senior Associate Vice President for University Outreach, and Amber Romo, who's a Senior Research Associate. At this time, I'm going to hand it over to Dr. White, and she'll kind of lead us through the presentation.
Thank you, Scott. I am so pleased to be here with you and to be a part of the Arkansas Leadership Academy. For today's purposes, we would like to give you an overview or the big vision for the ALA going forward, as Scott mentioned, beginning July 1st. We want to be able to build on the traditions of the ALA, the things that have made it helpful to many of you over the years, while also using a cycle of continuous improvement to continue to move the work forward. Over the last couple of months since we were selected to become the new operator, we've been meeting with stakeholders to gain insight into what has made the ALA successful in the past. Today, we want to share with you our vision and then get feedback from you about how ALA can best meet your leadership development needs and how we can best serve you as you're serving the students of Arkansas. So what I'm about to share with you is our long-term vision and strategic direction. During our first year of operation, which is a transition year, some of these aspects may not be fully in place. Our goal for the first year is to make the transition as smooth as possible, particularly for those who are already in a multi-year program with the ALA. So there may be some changes or differences in future years from this upcoming year. The ultimate goal of the ALA, as we see it, is to realize educational equity and excellence for Arkansas students. And by that, we simply mean that every student in Arkansas deserves to have an excellent education every single year, regardless of race, ethnicity, gender, national origin, language, ability, disability, or zip code. Our vision then is to be the state's premier leadership development hub, where all educational leaders like yourselves who are working toward educational equity and excellence for Arkansas students can find the personalized professional learning pathways that best meet your needs while developing your leadership capacity that results in systemic change and leads to improved teaching and learning. Within that ultimate goal of educational equity and excellence, there are several specific outcomes that we are looking for. Within the bucket of school, classroom, and teacher level outcomes, we believe that the ALA will see improved human capital management. How are we using the people that we have access to? Well, improved school climate and environment, and improved classroom instruction. And when those three things are in place, they have a direct impact on student level outcomes, improved student achievement, learning, and well-being. In order to accomplish those outcomes, we put in place several strategies. First, to expand the ALA offerings. Second, to ensure that there's equitable access to those offerings, regardless of your geography or what role you play in the education system, that you have equitable access to those offerings. And then integration of the ALA programs and initiatives, hopefully reducing silos, again, based on geography or roles that we play. One of the ways that we anticipate providing integration of programs is by focusing everything that we provide in our leadership development program around three big focus areas. So our leadership development program is aligned to and supports statewide initiatives, including professional learning communities and high reliability schools. And we've chosen to organize it based on these three pieces that educational research shows make a difference for students. And those are collaborative leadership, which of course is a shared style of team leadership. Collective efficacy, which is the shared conviction that educators make a significant contribution in raising student achievement. What we do matters, and it matters for kids. And cultural competence, the ability to successfully teach students who come from a culture or cultures other than our own. Within each of these three areas, we'll be talking about data-driven decision-making, effective instructional practices, and social emotional learning. We're approaching that leadership development work in almost like a tiered intervention model. So if you're familiar with tiered intervention models, you know they usually start with universal access. So that lowest level of professional learning on the chart there represents where we want anyone in the state to have access to the services that we provide. We're going to talk quite a bit more about ALA Reach in a moment, but for now, what you need to know is that ALA Reach does not have a long-term commitment. It doesn't require an application, and it allows any leader or aspiring leader to lean in and lean out as their schedule and topics of interest dictate. The other pieces of the ALA as we propose them going forward include things that are very similar to what you may already be familiar with if you're familiar with the current ALA, like Master Principal Program, Teacher Leader, Executive Leader. So some of those things may sound familiar. Our intention is to provide some core instruction where we can all acquire common knowledge and skills related to leadership, that it doesn't matter if you're a principal or a teacher or a superintendent. But there's some things that we all need to know and be able to do as leaders. How we apply those, though, will vary based on the roles that we have. And how we amplify our leadership will depend on where we sit. Regardless, we all want to accelerate student learning and school improvement outcomes. So our intention is to provide opportunities for personalized pathways or journeys through the ALA collaborative programs and experiences that are specific to individuals and teams who choose to participate. One of the ways that we'll provide that personalization is by providing opportunities for us to learn as individuals, as teams, and to engage communities, because we know it takes all of those to actually make the kinds of changes in educational equity and excellence that we would like to see. To make that happen, we plan to provide some role-alike and some role-diverse learning experiences. So role-alike, if you're a teacher leader, we want you to have opportunities to learn alongside and help others grow who are also teacher leaders. But role-diverse gives us opportunities to learn alongside others who are in different places in our careers. So superintendents learning from assistant principals and vice versa. Teachers being able to sit with school board members and collaboratively tackle a problem together. We plan on providing not only those role alike and role diverse various opportunities, but some of those will be offered in a statewide way. So if people apply to be a part of, say, the school team empowerment, for example, there will be times when we'll pull all of them together from across the state to work together, and then times when they'll be working regionally so that they can get to know others in their part of the state. We want to make sure that we provide a variety of opportunities for each of you so that you can find that personalized pathway that best meets your needs. Now, I'm going to turn things over to Christina and Trent, and they're going to be pushing out a poll so that we can learn a little bit more about you, the roles you currently play, and what engagement you've had with the ALA thus far.
Okay, well, thank you, Dr. White. I'm going to go ahead and launch the poll. You should be seeing that pop up on your screen. If you don't mind, take a few minutes or a few seconds here and just go through all three questions. Again, we're just asking, what is your current role in education? And then the following two questions could have multiple answers for either 2 or 3. And it's just, what is your current involvement when it comes to Arkansas Leadership Academy? So Christina, anything to add?
Yes, and so what we're looking for with this poll.
Christina, make sure your mic's on. There you go.
Yes, thank you. So what we're looking for with this poll is just trying to get an idea of what your role is and what your past experience has been with the Arkansas Leadership Academy. And we are asking this of all the participants. We're hosting 6 of these sessions across the state. And so we won't provide the poll results for this today during this session, but we will be sending out a follow-up email with the feedback results from the surveys that we've taken at all 6 sessions, as well as there's another poll that we'll have at the end of the day or at the end of this session that will ask for additional feedback from you. We'll share the results of that as well. Also want to make you aware, we have the chat box open. If you have questions as we go along through this session, feel free to drop your questions in the chat. We'll have breaks periodically to answer those questions. We will also be using those questions because we are on a limited amount of time. We will be using those questions if we can't get them today to build out our frequently asked questions document that will be posted to our website. So once again, please be sure to respond to our poll today. On here, it looks like most of you have responded. We're still waiting on a few stragglers there. And then if you have any questions at all, please feel free to drop those into the chat. I think we'll give it about 20 more seconds. And then with that, we will turn it over to Ken Rich.
Thanks, Christina. Good afternoon. I'm Ken Rich with APSRC. And you may have noticed that Scott introduced me as the Director of Finance or Director of School Finance Services for APSRC. And you're wondering what a school finance guy is doing in the leadership group. But I also need you to know that I'm a former Arkansas teacher, former building principal and superintendent in the state of Arkansas, had 22 years in leadership, and I have a strong passion for leadership in the state of Arkansas. I've been a part of the ALA as a part of the Superintendent's Institute, and I'm excited to be a part of the new ALA. I've also had the privilege of working with strong teacher and building leaders throughout my career, and I've seen firsthand the strong impact, the positive impact that a strong leader can have on student achievement. So we look forward to working with each of you. We're glad you're here with us today. We appreciate what you do, and we'll hope you'll join us in one of the many different aspects of the Arkansas Leadership Academy. So what's new with regards to the Arkansas Leadership Academy? And in kind of 4 areas here. One is we want to expand the reach of the program to all regions of the state through a face-to-face and hybrid delivery model. So face-to-face and virtual options. We also want to personalize the work and leverage leadership from the classroom to the boardroom. Very important that we have good leadership from top to bottom in our schools. And then finally, we want to increase the access to universal leadership program services through ALA Reach. So let's take a closer look at the programs and experiences in the new ALA. First, just a quick overview of our new ALA program. It's called ALA Reach, and it's open to any Arkansas educational leader or aspiring leader. And as Kerri mentioned previously, there's no long-term commitment. So participants, as their schedule allows, they decide to join, or as topics of interest emerge, join in. If you're too busy or you're not interested in that topic, then join us the next month. No pressure there. The other portion of our ALA program is called ALA Collaborative, and it's open to any Arkansas educational leader or aspiring leader. And you'll see that there are many different experiences available to you in the ALA Collaborative. First of all, the Master Principal Program. The Master Principal Program is open to principals with at least 1 year experience. There are 3 phases to the Master Principal Program, and it can lead to Master Principal designation. Many of you may have already been a part of that, may have the designation, or maybe you're currently involved in the Master Principal Program. And you'll be excited to know how things will continue for you. We'll cover that a little more later. The Teacher Leader Program is open to current and aspiring teacher leaders. And it can also lead to some professional designation as a lead teacher. Instructional Leader Empowerment. This is for our building leaders. So we think principals, assistant principals, instructional coaches. We had a request this past week. So what about our dean of students in a small school district? Absolutely. Instructional Leader Empowerment is available for those in those leadership roles in the building. School Team Empowerment, as the name implies, this is for our team of teachers along with our building principal and or the district superintendent. And then finally, a combination down here of Executive Leader Empowerment and Policy Leader Empowerment. This is for the higher level leadership in our districts, superintendents, assistant superintendents, school board members. So you can see there's a variety of ways for you to be involved in the programs and experiences in the new ALA. Now you may be very familiar with the current ALA and the very good work that's been going on with the current Leadership Academy and wonder how maybe the programs that are currently in place might transition into the new ALA. So it's kind of a quick overview so you can kind of see the connection. So the current Master Principal Program in the new ALA will be the Master Principal Program. As you know, Master Principal Program is covered and designed by law in Arkansas, so there'll be a lot of similarities in what you see. Teacher Leader Institute, just kind of a name change, becomes Teacher Leader Program. Team Institute or Leadership Team Institute becomes School Team Empowerment. Executive Collaborative Leadership, this has been what I said, our superintendents, co-op directors will become a part of Executive and Policy Leader Empowerment. The Assistant Principal Institute, while we may not have a separate institute just for assistant principals, this is where the building leader portion comes in. I mentioned a moment ago. They can be part of the Instructional Leader Empowerment Program. School support will be some aspects of this will be available in the School Team Empowerment. Facilitation of adult learning. This will be a topic that's addressed through ALA Reach and some of our other programs in the ALA Collaborative. And Student Voice Institute, also a topic that will be addressed through ALA Reach and the other collaborative programs. And of course, the new program I mentioned earlier, ALA Reach. So during the transition year, the next school year, 2021-22 school year, you should know that our first priority is to those that are already in existing programs or in the pipeline to join one of those programs. And this includes the Master Principal Program phases and designation. During these sessions over the last few days, we've had a lot of questions about, I'm in phase 2, what happens? Well, the deal is you continue to proceed in the program just as you did before. So we want to meet every program participant where they're at in the program, provide them with support, and make sure they continue toward the designations of a master principal. The new ALA Reach services will begin early in the fall of 2021, I think as early as August. And then what about new cohorts? New cohorts for all programs will likely begin later in the school year. So once again, during the transition year, initially trying to take care of those in the program immediately, and then start new cohorts later in the year. So I'm excited about this. I see many friends out there with us today on this Zoom, and I hope that you'll join us in the new ALA during the 21-22 school year. And with that, I will turn it over to Dr. Mary Jane Bradley for an overview of the Master Principal Program.
Thanks, Ken. Good afternoon. I am very excited to be here to share with you some information about the Master Principal Program. I am Mary Jane Bradley. I'm the Dean of the College of Education and Behavioral Science at Arkansas State University. I want to share with you the new Master Principal Program, and it is a three-phase process that focuses on participants' evolution as a principal who understands, designs, and leads a process of continuous school improvement through a professional learning community. As the picture depicts, we have developed the MPP with a plan, do, check, continuous inquiry of improvement cycle. More specifically, phase one, the planning phase, will concentrate on the participant acquiring and demonstrating understanding of PLCs and the principles of high reliability schools. There will be multiple instructional activities to assist participants in developing a detailed plan for school improvement. Participants will be instructed by and observe a highly effective PLC. During this phase, the participants will assemble a team of teacher leaders and other stakeholders who will assist with collecting data, framing their school improvement challenge, and creating a shared vision. A participant will move to phase two when the detailed plan for continuous learning and improvement has been co-created, and there's also an accompanying commitment from the school district to implement the plan. Phase two, the do phase, will continue the mentoring by a school leadership team engaged in a highly effective PLC. During this phase and through mentoring, the participant and the leadership team will activate the plan that was designed in phase one. Phase two will require applicants to build a portfolio that demonstrates application of instruction from phase one. So the participant and the team will transfer theory to practice, collect evidence of implementation of the plan, and make initial adjustments. At the end of this phase, participants will show evidence of leading a safe and collaborative school culture, high reliability schools level 1, and also in leading effective instruction, high reliability schools level 2. This phase will be evaluated by a leadership team consisting of teacher leaders of successful PLCs. Phase 3, the check phase, will ensure that the participants will be leading an effective PLC that is engaged in delivering a viable curriculum, high reliability schools level 3, and is effectively leading data to improve student achievement. In other words, verify the impact of the plan for continuous school improvement while being monitored by a successful PLC leadership team. A focus at this phase will be helping with data-driven decision-making for student and school improvement, and also to assist with making subsequent curricular instructional adjustments. For phase 3, a team during a site visit will gather evidence and provide feedback to the principal, to the school leadership team, and the district regarding the extent to which they have designed and maintained a professional learning community and have incorporated the principles of a high reliability school. It is during this phase that the participants will meet all statutory and regulatory requirements to obtain designation. Following completion of phase 3, master principals will be invited to participate in future ALA offerings to share their experiences and to mentor others. Participants who have completed master principal program will be on a career path for next level leadership. Overall, we believe master principals, like they do now, will positively impact students in Arkansas. In addition to the specifics about the 3 phases, I wanted to share with you details about the structure, the format. We will have multiple touch points ranging from 1 half-day sessions to 2-day sessions. The delivery will be a hybrid delivery, mostly face-to-face with some virtual sessions. The approaches we will use a common instruction for all participants, as well as a personalized or differentiated instruction for each phase or cohort. We also want to engage with other Arkansas leaders through ALA Reach. Additionally, discussion will be led by national subject matter experts, as well as local educator leaders who are actually doing the work on a day-to-day basis. And then an added benefit, of course, is the networking. You will have networking within the cohort and, of course, across the cohort. In addition to this being a wonderful professional development and growth as a leader, there is a financial bonus. All designated master principals can earn up to $9,000 yearly bonus for 5 years while they're serving as a full-time building level principal in any Arkansas public school. Furthermore, if they're designated and in a high need school, they can earn $20,000 yearly for up to 5 years while serving in that high need Arkansas public school. Additionally, plus $15,000 at the end of the 3rd consecutive year and $10,000 at the end of the 5th consecutive year. What an incentive. This has been great joy for me to share this information with you, and now I will turn it over to Christina.
Thank you, Mary Jane. And now we're going to take it to live questions. Although we did receive a couple that were provided to us by email, we have one that asks, I believe the old master principal program required building level certification before you could apply. Will this requirement be the same? Kerri, can you provide any insight into that?
Yeah, actually, the master principal program requirements are set in law, and so there's no change to that. You do have to have 1 year of principal experience before you can enter the master principal program. So that then is kind of the prerequisite for being a principal, then is having that appropriate certification to be a principal.
Okay. And then we did receive a question. So I'm assuming this is related to, this came kind of early in the presentation, and I'm assuming they're asking about kind of the decision. It's asking who initiated this process, and why are you saying that the ALA needed to be redesigned? So I'll let Kerri, if you want to kind of speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, so actually, I feel like I'm about to pass the buck. I'm not trying to pass the buck. It's not something that we can respond to. It was actually the State Board of Education that decided to offer the opportunity for a request for proposals. They wanted to find out what others might do in response to their request for proposals to do the ALA. So that all originated with the State Board of Education. What I can tell you is what was in the RFP, that request for proposals, that we responded to, as well as several other organizations responded. We were the ones selected by the State Board, but in that request for proposals, it did speak to that because of ESSA and some of the changes that have been happening at the state level, there was a need to make some changes to the ALA. And so they offered that out for many people or organizations to respond to. Like I said, there were, I think, 7 or 8 who responded, and we were one of those. And then the state board selected us to move forward beginning July 1. Beyond that, I think part of that question asked about evidence or data. You would need to speak to somebody at the State Board of Education or at DESE, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, on any specifics.
Okay. And then just so everyone's aware, yes, there was a question that came in and you did respond to it in the chat box, but wanted everybody to know, yes, our Zooms are being recorded. They will be made available online and in the follow-up email that we send out with information after all the sessions are hosted. Let's see, we've got, okay. Okay, so Stacy DeFore asks, how does someone who has completed all 3 phases of MPI now apply for designation?
Oh, great question. So we actually met yesterday with those who are currently in phase 3. So if you are one who has previously completed phase 3 but has not yet applied for designation, we will be contacting you after July 1, once we have all of our team in place. We'll be reaching out to those who are still within that time frame that the law allows. So if you're in the last couple of years, you should be within that time frame. We'll be reaching out to walk you through the process of designation. Our intention is to keep things as, we think we've said 3 or 4 times now, as smooth as possible during that transition. So if you went through the master principal program under the current operators, we want you to be able to do designation with that same intentionality, what you've been working toward throughout the master principal program. So our plan during this transition is to use essentially those same criteria that have been in place. And then over time, as slight changes are made to the program, then there might be some slight changes to designation criteria. However, the rigor will remain the same. The expectations that are in law as to what a master principal can do will stay the same.
Okay. And our next question comes from Ms. Michelle Lynch. In the past, there was a collaborative board of organizations who were an advisory board. Who will be invited to the table?
Oh, great question. So, Michelle, you've caught me with trying to remember off the top of, I'm not going to try because I'll mess it up. Off the top of my head, I'm not going to try to remember our full governance structure. But Ken, feel free to weigh in here if you want to, because I know we put you on the spot yesterday with this question. Our intention through the governance structure is to include current practitioners from across the state, experts in various fields, definitely representatives of all levels of the education system. So from teachers to school board members and everything in between. And so that everyone has a voice in that advisory process. Ken, is there anything you'd want to add to that?
No, yeah, I would add that is also the practice of APSRC in all areas of our programs here. So while I don't have that right up in front of me regarding who is on that advisory board, in our governing structure, there is an advisory board that will provide a chance for lots of different organization groups to be involved. Also, as I mentioned, that's pretty much the way every program at APSRC works. We have a governing board for almost every program that we have. If it's not called a governing board, then it's called just a group of practitioners that we reach out to and have them provide feedback and advisory information for us. So there'll be opportunities for many to be on that board, and I'm sure we can put that out in our frequently asked questions.
Yeah, that's a great point, Ken. We'll definitely do that and make that really clear. I know some of those are rotating every year so that we get new voices while some stay the same. And then I would just add to that, kind of not going directly to your question, Michelle, but we've also been having lots of conversations with the statewide organizations who are providing similar types of services and working for ways to find partnership among those various entities. So there will be lots of opportunity for collaboration in the entire process.
And Michelle, I know you're with the Arkansas State Teachers Association. And so if you have any specific questions for us, we'll have contact information where you can reach out directly to the transition team. And so make sure to mark that email down, shoot them your contact information, and we can get you connected with them as well.
And
So.
Michelle, I know you've got my contact information from some earlier conversation. So let's just stay in touch and we'll keep all of that moving forward.
Perfect. So if anybody else has any other questions, for right now, that is all that we have in here. And for purposes of time, I'm going to go ahead and turn things back over to Kerri. Oh, wait, no. Yes, it is Kerri's turn. I was losing track of time. But go ahead, drop your questions into the chat box as we continue to move on through.
Thank you, Christina. Yeah, we want to make sure that we have some time to talk to you about the ALA Reach, which is this new component that we are really excited about. And I hope you will be as well, and see the potential for how ALA Reach can allow for more people to gain access to great content on leadership development. So as Ken mentioned, that this is not an application process. So we are looking for any educational leader or aspiring leader to participate. Here are 3 examples of the types of things that we anticipate providing through ALA Reach. We know we're going to have an ongoing virtual learning network or an online community of practice. In fact, this is kind of the bread and butter of ALA Reach, if you will. This will meet twice a month, very consistent, regular schedule, allowing for us to collectively explore topics in educational leadership, and will allow for Arkansas leaders like yourselves to submit problems of practice or case studies of things that are happening in your schools, in your districts right now that you would like to get input from other members of the community. We'll use a facilitated process to get you really good advice on how to move forward with some of the challenges that you're facing. So with this, if you can join us attending twice a month, that's wonderful. If not, join when you can. And if you're not available at the time that they're offered live, they will be recorded and you'll be able to access them through our website later. We'll also have short series and year-long series on some of the critical topics in education, problems of practice that arise throughout the course of the year. Most of these will be virtual, however, some will be face-to-face. So again, these will be frequent, but not necessarily on the exact same schedule every month. And then we'll have some one-time or episodic workshops where you can learn from national experts on specific topics of interest, or from experts in the field here in Arkansas on emerging issues, trends, and needs that arise. These will be virtual and face-to-face depending on the content and the needs at the moment. This is a really high-level view of a calendar for the year for ALA Reach. And no, I do not expect you to be able to read those Post-it notes. I know they are way too small. I'm going to give you a real big picture, but then today we really want to get some feedback from you on what the pressing topical needs are for you and your school so that we can organize our offerings to best meet your needs. So here in a few minutes, Trent's going to be giving us another poll where you can give us some feedback. That's why these are a little bit more generic. But I want to zoom in on just a couple of months of this calendar. So I'm zooming in on August and September. And again, these are just some examples of the types of things that we might be offering. So in blue, we've got some foundational webinars where we might have some panels of experts locally and nationally to talk about those primary content areas where we're going to be focusing our attention this year. In the yellow, you've got that bi-monthly community of practice that will happen via Zoom that we've already talked about. The pink is showing a year-long topical series that will have many parts throughout the course of the year. In green, we've got quarterly face-to-face regional events. So opportunities for you to meet within your own region to talk with others. Now, here's one thing that we're thinking about and trying to consider if this will be a good option for us, but we're looking at doing a year-long series, kind of like a Netflix series, where several episodes drop at once each quarter that would allow you to watch them kind of on your own pace at your own schedule when it meets your needs, but then follow that with a face-to-face, maybe a couple of hours in a regional location where you could come and talk with others about what they're learning from that series, how you're thinking about applying it, what you've done that's already worked, what you think might be helpful to your school going forward. So facilitated discussions following some topical series that you can watch at your own pace. We're also looking at having short series, and those may range from 2 episodes to 4 or 5 episodes, depending on the content. And those might be shorter in length, might not be, again, depending on the content. But we want to provide opportunities for you to learn about the things that are just in time kinds of issues. For example, right after test results come out, you might want to participate with us in a series on, let's say, how to engage teachers in updating your local school improvement plans or your local curriculum maps and processes as a result of that data that you received from your state test results. So those are the kinds of things that we might offer in short series. Now, if you're looking at this map, you're probably thinking, there's no way I could participate in all of that. And no, we don't expect you to participate in all of that. There are a plethora of ways that you can navigate through the pathway of ALA Reach. So I want to offer just a couple of, I guess, 3 examples of pathways that one might take through ALA Reach offerings and how those might sometimes relate to a longer term application to do a longer term commitment after participating in the short term, no commitment ALA Reach opportunities. So in our first example, we're looking at aspiring teacher leader who participated in a one-time face-to-face regional experience on building collective teacher efficacy. And perhaps that inspired this aspiring teacher leader to watch a virtual short series on how Arkansas schools are using the Arkansas Career Continuum to create specific roles for teacher leaders, and in some cases even compensate teacher leaders for those roles that they're playing in leadership. And perhaps after doing that and spending time talking with the building leaders or district leaders, that aspiring teacher leader may decide to apply for a 1-year longer term teacher leader program that would lead toward designation as a lead professional on their licensure. In our second example, we have a building level leader who's participating bi-monthly in that virtual community of practice. And because of that, decides that there are some topics that they really want to dig more deeply into. And so maybe in year 2, they apply to participate in the ALA Collaborative as part of the instructional leader empowerment to really dig into collaborative leadership, collective efficacy, and cultural competence. And then once they've gone through that program, having that experience and expertise, coming back to the virtual community of practice to serve as a leader in what we call the hub team of that community of practice. In our third example, we've got a district leader, and you're going to notice in this example that all of these are ALA Reach activities. There's not here a longer term commitment, but in this case, the district leader participated in a foundations webinar on cultural competence, and then a year-long topical series on building student and educator resilience, which of course is a social emotional learning content piece of cultural competence. And then decided that after trying to implement some of those pieces, that they really needed to get feedback from some other leaders across the state on how to do some of that work well. And so they decided to become a case study contributor or a problem of practice contributor to that monthly virtual community of practice. So again, lots of different examples and ways to engage with ALA Reach that we hope you will find the opportunities that fit with your schedule and with your career goals and with the topics of interest to you as you are improving your own leadership skills and knowledge. we want to know what are some of those areas that are of greatest concern to you in your own leadership development or those in your district. And so now I'm going to ask Trent if he'll push out another poll and give you some opportunity to tell us of a series of topics, which ones might be of greatest importance to you in this upcoming school year.
Oh.
Trent, I think you might be on mute.
Sorry about that, Dr. White. Again, the polls have been opened. So you've got a series of 5 questions where we are interested in different types of ALA reach topics. And as you can read through the questions, we're looking for your top 3 answers. So again, this is going to take a little bit of time. So we look forward to your answers or responses. And Christina, I'm going to pass it to you to see if we have any questions that might be coming in the chat.
Yeah, so before we get started on questions, I want to make sure people have time to really read the poll questions because they are a little in depth, and I want to make sure that they get a chance to put in their responses because it's really important feedback for us. So I'll give it about a minute or so, and then I'll turn it over to questions because we've got some really good ones in the chat box that I definitely want to make sure we get to. So we'll give it just a few seconds and wait for some of the responses to start rolling in.
Christina, I'm going to jump in real quick on Amber's comment that she would love to see an SEL curriculum guide map.
Yeah.
Would you be sure to mark, as you're doing this poll, would you be sure to mark some of those social emotional learning components as topics that would be important to you?
Okay. It looks like some of the responses are starting to roll in. We're still waiting on quite a few, but they're starting to trickle in. So I'm going to now move to one of the questions that we got that I think is really great. Suzanne Rogers asks, what time will these sessions be? Will teachers or aspiring leaders need a substitute? That would impact access.
Oh, great question. So one of our goals, and hopefully we've even demonstrated this already in the last few days, is to provide as many access points as possible. So whenever we can, we want to offer things at a time that is both teachers and administrators can access them. We know that sometimes that's not possible. And so anything that we do offer will be recorded. If we offer it virtually, we'll record it and make it available afterward for those who can't participate when they occur. For those things that are face-to-face, we're also looking for, as frequently as we can, to have an alternate version of that available virtually, either pre-recorded or similar content that maybe is in a print format, so that, again, the content can be accessible. Most of what we intend to offer will be in, through ALA Reach, will be in 90-minute or less kinds of chunks, so that even if hopefully most of them around the 45 to 60-minute chunk, because we know most of us don't have a long enough attention span for 90 minutes. So hopefully, even if it's something that's during the school day, you might be able to get a cover just for an hour if it's something to that you really want to participate in live and not watch later. And then there are some that are going to be really targeted to specific audiences. So if it is really targeted to, let's say, assistant principals, we're going to do our best to make that available when the majority of assistant principals could pull that off. Or if it's really targeted at a teacher leader, we're going to do our best to make that when teachers are available. So we know that it's always going to be a challenge because we're not all available ever at the same time. But our goal is to make it as flexible as possible.
Okay. Thank you so much. And I think we'll give it about 20 more minutes, or not 20 minutes, 20 more seconds on this poll. Most of the responses are coming in. If anybody else has any other questions, be sure to drop them in the chat. And thank you again to everybody who's participating. We really appreciate your feedback. Okay. And with that, I think we'll turn things over to Melody to close us out.
Hello, I'm Melody Morgan, and I'm the Director in Teaching and Learning at APSRC. And I really want to thank each of you for taking the time to engage with us today, sharing your valuable input as stakeholders and helping us personalize and shape the new Arkansas Leadership Academy for you as leaders in our state. As we move forward with next steps, I want to share where you can find the most up-to-date information. We've launched a transition webpage where you can find key pieces of information and you can connect with us as we move forward during the next few months. Notice over here on the left side of the screen is a QR code. It will allow you to immediately connect to our webpage just by using the camera on your phone. We encourage you to bookmark this webpage and visit it frequently as we share important and very timely information about the transition and next steps. We are very eager to hear from you. Over on the right side of our snapshot of our transition webpage, you will notice a quick link button. This button, by selecting this single button, you're able to submit a question, you're able to submit a comment, or you can even sign up to become an Arkansas Leadership Ambassador. And that will allow us to push out direct communication to you that you can then share with others. The transition webpage will be updated often, so we encourage you to check back and explore the developing section on frequently asked questions and also explore job postings as they become available. Some of the positions on the horizon for the new Arkansas Leadership Academy include a Master Principal Program Director, an Administrative Assistant to support this program as Master Principal, an Arkansas Leadership Academy Project Coordinator, and contractual pieces for coaches and consultants. In the next few days, we want you to watch for an email, a follow-up email that will allow you to provide even more input about the new Arkansas Leadership Academy. Please feel free to share this email out with other stakeholders in your organization so that we can scale and learn about your most pressing school improvement concerns and leadership development needs. Thank you again for participating in today's outreach on the new Arkansas Leadership Academy. You can reach out directly to us with the contact information on the screen. That is our email address, ala@apsrc.net, or you can call us directly at 501-492-4300. We look forward to serving you as you serve the students of Arkansas. Have a great rest of your evening. Thank you.